Welcome in, everyone. This is our flow recap for the week of 8/4/2025 to 8/8/2025. As always, we're going to look at the flow that we called out in Stock Hub. We're going to look at the move of the contracts. We like to look at the full range of the contract as well. Go over what stuck out on the flow. And kind of, as always, we're looking at the full range of the move of the contracts. Doesn't mean you're going to exit at the top, but I'd like to show everybody the full move that happened. And we will be just kind of digesting the flow. This is a great video for beginners. And I like to tell everybody I like to look for at least 10-15% minimum return on the flow. So if you're up 15%, I like to say I always have stops up at least break even. Shouldn't be letting trades go red when you're up at least 10-15%. But, and again, as always, I like to show this for people that might be tuning in for the first time. All this flow that we recap are in the flow alerts, ETF flow, and our flow and charts. I'm going to start with the flow and charts section quick here because we had two great plays that didn't trigger because they ran right away. We had a Reddit whale here. This was from Friday, so this play would have been in motion on Monday. That Reddit whale ran right away. Apple, I had this called out yesterday, so this would have been valid today. Wanted to see it kind of take a check back here to that downtrend. We didn't get that. Apple ran wild, so that was actually scratched then. So the flow alerts we're going to touch on. All of these are flow. Everything's posted in real time. I don't edit any of the posts or anything. So let's get started here. And again, for those that might be newer to joining the channel or viewing the flow, I don't post 1,000 pieces of flow. I'm trying to find highly convicted pieces of flow that are coming in. I don't spam. I don't cherry pick. This is the flow that's in the flow alerts channel or any of the channels that we talked about. So let's get started here. So up first on Monday, we had the 919 EMW A65 calls here. So we're going to come back to Monday and take a peek at how it looked. So here is our flow here. So you can see our whale coming in, 1,000 contracts, 142,000 premium there, $1.40 a contract. So we're going to look at the raw flow first here. And this flow looks, this is pretty textbook flow here. You can see when that flow starts coming in here, it's a repeated hits ascending fill. That just means this fill, the spot price is increasing as it comes up. So you can see that right in here from the 138 up to the 139, then you hit the 140. So you notice that bid ask, that's just the spread of the contracts. Bid is 120, ask is 140. So this coming in at 140 shows urgency. And when we come here and look too, so I'm looking at a couple columns here. I want to make sure the timing's all correct here. I want to make sure that kind of spot fill is pretty in line with the ask. This obviously is. And I like to keep an eye on that IV. So you can see as that IV is coming in, that IV is increasing. So it's just kind of telling you that there's an implied move there. Again, this isn't 100% a science and going to work every time. But there's textbook rules that you have to follow. So just kind of little context clues. I mean, you see that IV increasing, spot price increasing, all coming at the same time. It's considered unusual. So, and if you look at the same time as well, you see that net call premium spiking. A lot of call volume. Your data points are starting to line up here. And obviously looking at this too, always identifying if it's an opening trade is big here. So over 1,000 contracts against 62 open contracts, clean opening trade. So this one actually ran the next day, and it was kind of up the same day a little bit. So yellow line is just your fill for the contracts. You can see here's your whale here. Came up and ran slightly within, what was this, 9:30ish. I'm Central Time for those that might be new to this. So 9:30, within an hour, I mean, they were up at 165. Now let's pop this out to Friday and look at that full move here for the week. So here's your whale again. You can see we kind of moved up same day, kind of dropped a little bit, but that next day, this is when we hit our high. So 8.5 is when we hit our high. This is 180 here. So now what I'd like to do, and even on the same day, I'd probably have stops kind of adjusting up. And this also comes with time in the market and all that. But looking at the flow as well, 42 days out. I like to tell people the way I think of the days of expiration. The longer the days of expiration, the longer the move may be on the contracts. That whale might be kind of looking for maybe a more longer term move for something that's 5 days out where you have theta eating those contracts away. So very smart to get that. And just kind of that just comes with time in the market and all that. But again, here's your whale. These ran and hit that 180 here on the next day. You can see the high right here. Looks like our whale actually sold these at 140. So this is why I tell people too, should always be adjusting up stops on your own, because this whale was up 28% on those contracts for a max return. You shouldn't be letting those go break even or go red at all. You should be securing profits and at least securing some money back off your contracts and all that. So again, your move here, initial entry, hit your high here on the 5th, 140 to 180, max return is 28.57%. That is a good return. That is a very good return. So up next, Apple. This is one of our best ones of the week. So we're going to pop this back to the 4th as well. So when I seen these coming in here, you can see a lot of ask side calls coming in here. And at the time, you had a lot of kind of call volume and call premium coming in. Now looking at the raw flow here, let's come back here and take a peek. This is what I love about unusual whales. You can kind of just see all the contracts around it too. This is one great thing about this. So here's some of your size coming in here. Let's see if we can see a little bit more from earlier. Yes, we can. So now, for those that have been in my videos a lot or watching them, you'll notice a lot of my flow is pretty uniform when we look at it. You can see your IV increasing, IV increases when it comes in here. Spot price increases. So now you have a small little drop in the IV here. So this is where it kind of paying attention and being very detailed and paying attention to the details matters. So you can see that spot price increase again here, and that IV comes up again. So even though we kind of dropped a little bit here, you saw that IV pick back up here. And you see it's a descending fill. So I like to see where that descending fill is. You can see kind of coming in here, it's almost a mid fill. So typically if I was looking at this normally, I would probably pass on this flow, but we have more flow after. Obviously you can see some more flow coming in here. Big spikes in the IV, and then you come in here and you see more spikes here. So this just kind of comes with a trained eye after doing this for so long. And you can see, I mean, that IV's almost up here at 26 now, and that spot's been increasing that entire time. And kind of combining it with these other candles here as well, knowing there's a lot of other bullish flow here as well, you can kind of make those context clues. So same day these dropped, obviously, but again, paying attention to the days of expiration is big. That whale's probably not looking for a daily move. Now when we pop these out to Friday, these made a significant move. Obviously, here we are. Here's our whale. Just kind of choppy, stayed down for a day or so. And again, knowing you have time on these is key. And what I like to tell people in the longer term flow, you can usually always find a nice little discounted entry. I like to look for a support spot, resistance spot, just depending on if it's a call or put. But you come here, we had the news of the $100 billion investment here on the 6th, and here we are off to the races. You can see some of that volume dropping off here on the 8th as well. So that whale taking some profits there, and looks like maybe some is still in here. And you're sitting at 50% multi-leg now too, so probably wouldn't chase anything, obviously, especially after a big run-up like this. These contracts finishing 6% in the money today, which is a great sign. But you can see that volume carrying over. Some contracts changing hands here on the 6th because you don't see a big open interest change. And then your big drop here in open interest today, the 8th. So that whale probably closing some of their position yesterday. But these hitting a high of 1865 today. So 395 to 1865, a max return of 372.15%. And again, all this stuff is called out in real time. Flow is 100% time sensitive. I wouldn't want to see somebody open up contracts at 6:41. No, that you don't want to do that. If you miss the flow, it's okay. There will always be another piece of flow. That's what I like to tell people. So again, 395 to 1865, 372.15% on those. So up next, we have the Palantir 822 152.5 puts. We're going to take a peek at this one, and this is a good example of why you should always be adjusting up stops and being careful, just following whales blindly. But the flow I like is a tool. You just have to always kind of, I wouldn't follow them blindly off a cliff is kind of what I'm saying there too, is should have stops in place, have a plan in place, have a risk management plan as well. So again, here is our whale right here. We look at the contracts. Again, you can see as that volume and size and premium start to come in, spike in that IV, your spots coming in at the ask, good premium. So these coming in at 128 again, little run up here, came up and hit 229 for a high on the day. That's a 78.91% return. Even if you have 14 days on there, you should still have a stop on. You should not be giving up a 78% gain. So now when we look at, let's come out here to the 8th. So you can see a large chunk of bid side flow here on the 6th. So 700 contracts. Some of that carrying over. Hard to know if this whale actually averaged in or what they did. Even if we look at the bid side candle, you just kind of see that IV drop. So it's hard to know what's changing hands. Obviously, Palantir is a higher traded stock, so you're going to see a lot more volume on it. And you're sitting at a 26% multi-leg percent now too as well. But yeah, this is why I always tell people adjust up stops. 78% is a phenomenal return. You should not be seeing that turn red at all. So 128 to 229 for a max on that one, 78.91%. And this next one, Intel here, so the 5th again, we're going to pop back to the 5th. So our flow here, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to this one, because this one is actually this whale cut. But again, see that IV spike, little spike there. Again, keeping an eye at that spot. That spot's coming in at the ask. IV looks good. You even have a little spike here at the end. Little kind of drop there, but hard to tell exactly what's part of it. More than likely an educated guess. This is probably part of it just based off that timing. And even coming in here, that IV pops up, but you're seeing smaller size there as well. But that initial flow looked good. So now when you look at it here, so 25. These actually came up and hit 31 here. So 9:10, 9:15. These hit about 10 minutes here. They hit 31. And even if you would have missed that and came back down, you would have had a chance to get out with some profits here at 29. So that 25 to 31 is a 24% return. And even the 25 to 29, it seems when you look at contracts, so this is why always looking at percents on contracts are a lot bigger than looking at dollars. Because if you look at this, I paid $25 for a contract and sold it for $4. That's not a lot of money, but it's 16% return on your investment. That is a huge return. So that was a max return, quick one of 31. So again, would have had a chance to get out here at still about 16% or so. And when we come out here and look at the weekly also, you can see your initial whale there, spike there, kind of dropped here, and we came back up here, probably, a little bit below the entry, but still, you probably should have had stops on something in there, but it looks like your whale's kind of getting out here about 15 or so. But again, max return on that one, little quicker trade, 25 to 31, that's a 24% return there. Up next, we have Rocket Mortgage. So this one I can probably, nope, okay, let's see, pop this back here. So whale entry here, 72. Again, coming here and looking at the flow. So good textbook piece of flow here. IV pops when it comes in. Can see, well, this is actually part of it here too, well, very likely part of it. I mean, you're 1 second off on the fill. So your IV would technically increase here. That spot would increase there, just following this up, 68.02. Can see some more IV increase here. Spot price increases here. Good sign that's a buy. Here's your whale, 72. Came up and hit 108 the same day. Actually hit the high on the 7th here of 117. That's a 58.11% return on those. Good move on those. And this next one, so this one I have marked as a loser right now on the week. Obviously a little time on those, but might be getting a little sticky here. So your whale here, 69. These dropped, came back up, hit 72 yesterday. I probably would have got out at break even, or I mean that's about 5% or so, but that whale's down about 56% if they truly are buying those contracts still. But seeing that big spike in that net put premium here and even kind of just popping it out, just not a lot of option volume coming in over the last 7 days. But very interesting one. A little time left on those, but whales down 56%. So now this is where I'm like, well, okay, if I wanted to put on a discounted entry or so, maybe I want to look at these at a discount, because that whale's still clearly in 1,500 contracts. Can clearly see it in the open interest. So up next, we have the 829 AVGO 300 calls. This one actually, I want to pop back here. This one came in above the ask, so right away catches my attention. I want to come back here to the 6th and we can look at it here. So we had our original entry here. So this kind of takes a train die as well here. So you had 6,300 contracts come in, and then you had about 6,400 contracts come in. Now I still would say to check the open interest always, but if these numbers were both 63.17, I would think, okay, this whale might be closing these profits or these contracts quick, especially with it being bid and mid-side fill. But here is your ask, and you can see it was a double down here pretty much too, because I mean you have 12,000 or so contracts carry over. They added to the position, but these ran same day nonetheless, and can see we hit our high. Believe it was the high here on the 7th, 8.7, so 1856 was your high. That is a 77.61% return on those. Another good play, finished 2% in the money. And this next one was interesting. I typically would not call this out, but when I called this out, and I will pop and show everybody here in Discord as well, because this one, when I pop this in here, so I always look to make sure it's not overlapping earnings. This showed earnings were passed, so this is why I posted it. Obviously I posted it, so I'm still gonna in the flow alerts channel, so I'm gonna have to recap what's posted anyways. But this was actually a good piece of earnings flow, because here is your whale, and again, just looking at it here, just that flow, that IV's up, spot price coming in at the ask, good sign there. 310, these hit a high of 13 on near the open on the 7th. That's 319% there. So typically I don't like calling out earnings plays, and you can see this one might be kind of glitched a little bit because it's still saying earnings are in 4 days. But 16% in the money. That whale's happy, 319% on those. Then up next, we have AMD, the 829 180 calls. Great move on these. Here's our whale entry, 369. Coming up here to 624 and hitting 607 today as well. Actually, 626 today. 675 for a high yesterday, so that's 92.86%. So again, when you see these pops, you can always secure profits and ride it on the way down. Like, I'm going to probably have a stop on about, like, if I see them at 579, probably put a stop on at like 535. So, and that just depends on your risk management and all that. But you should not be letting these go from 624 back down to 424. You can always secure profits and recycle and re-enter too. That's one big thing I like to tell people. You can always recycle your wins, but you can't recycle losses. But good move there. Looks like most of that volume's still there. Have to see what carries over into Monday, but good move on those from that 350 to 675. And now we are on to Friday. Again, it was a little quieter week. Again, beginning of the week was a little busier, but last 2 days didn't have really an economic events or anything. But again, I will always be posting quality flow versus a quantity of flow. You see a lot of people posting 10,000 pieces of flow a week. There's honestly not that much good flow during the week. You probably maybe get about, on a good week, 10, 15 solid, great, good pieces of flow. I mean, you can see all the flow we've went through here has been good except for the BAC flow. So Carvana today, good little move on these. We got in 221 was our entry, so I believe it was that first candle we got in. Yeah, 221. Ran up here, hit 307. 310 for a high on the day, 40% intraday move on those. Contracts closing at 278. I mean, if you're swinging them, you're green. Then the last one here, Google puts. Not much to really say on those. The Friday flow sometimes hasn't obviously made a move, but 304 was your entry. Contracts closing at 310. That whale's up almost 2%. So, but that is all I got this week for the flow recap. Again, if you'd like to try unusual whales, I will leave a discount in the description. And if you'd like to join Stock Hub, it's $19 a month. You get all the flow alerts. You get a lot of market data as well. That is also in the description. And again, everything that is posted in the channels that are listed as call-out channels will be recapped. So again, there's some, like, we have an earnings channel where obviously earnings flow is a gamble, but I do have a Discord overview as well if anybody would like to look at that. But for now, that is all I have. Everybody have a great weekend and happy trading next week.